What's up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat, and we are here at the Nerd Castle with the next episode of our Shining Rock Studios Banished playthrough. I haven't really set a threshold for this series, and I was kind of thinking that's probably something that I should do at some point, and be like, what is our goal? What are we working towards here? What are we kicking, throwing, or otherwise punting for? Like, what is the point? What is the point? We're at that transcendent moment in our society where we have people staring up the sky going, oh, why? And so I think in the interest of that exploit, what we needed to do is, in the previous episode, we had run out of firewood. That's bad. That's really, really, really bad, because that's one of those things that sort of just snuck up on me over a season. Wasn't paying attention very well, and now it's here. We're completely and totally out of firewood. So what I'm going to do, I think, actually, how is he doing? Not so great. I want to keep an eye on him and figure out how much food he's going to be producing over the next season. That guy right there, we need to pay attention to him, so that's the first thing we're going to do in this episode. We need to trade some stuff, and this guy just has a bunch of tools and ale. Not going to help me out a whole lot, so we're going to dismiss him right now. And we're going to check for our nomads. I'm assuming it's going to give me some kind of pop-out like, nomads! Like, when you get nomads, I'm assuming there's going to be like some kind of, I don't know, heavenly chorus or something, because it really seems like nomads would be really awesome right about now. I'm going to put some builders in. This doesn't appear to be the best fishing dock ever. I think it is controlled by the amount of water inside your little circle. There's been some naysayers as to that, and I think that's been not a running argument, but it's been kind of a debate. I'm pretty sure fishing from the creek, though, is a terrible, terrible idea. Fishing from the creek. That's a terrible idea. I'm going to bring 40 coats down here, too. Let me bring, where are those at? We've got hide coats down here. Let's bring 40 wool. Oh, you can scroll the screen. Who would have thunk it? Let's go ahead and bring down 40 wool coats too, just so we have lots of stuff. We've got a surplus of things going on right now. We should also have a fair amount of deforestation occurring since we're chopping up so many logs. Is this done up here yet? Yes. Are you finished? Could you please finish my forester's lodge, please? So that I can put workers into it. Yes. For Arstotska. I'm gonna come clean and say that I didn't really... I thought that said 2,000 for a second. I just slammed, you guys couldn't hear, I just slammed the pause spacebar so hard right now that like my thumb hurts. I thought that said 2,500 and that I'd had a massive oversight on my food stock. I was like, oh my, what the, whoa? Just like that moment where you realize everything has gone wrong in life and you're just like, where do I go from here? Oh God. So anyways, we have plenty of food. And I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I didn't really enjoy Papers, Please that much. And I think it was a function of the fact that I had a job where I did hundreds of pages of paperwork a day. And so paperwork just doesn't do it for me anymore. I hate doing paperwork. I mean, there's a subtle joy in doing paperwork when it's like 8 in the morning and you first get to work and you're like, dum-da-dum, just like chilling, listening to the radio, getting your groove on. You might be like V-stepping it below the desk, kind of hanging out, getting your groove on, doing your thing. But then there's another half to that I think is unexpressed, where once you do that job for a while, you're just like, yeah, this kind of sucks. And since, I suppose since Papers, Please is a job that's kind of based around doing a lot of paperwork, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. I played like the first 10 days or so, and I just felt like I was caught up in kind of a giant circle of tedium. A lot of people like the game, and that's fully within. That's their deal. I mean, they can totally enjoy the game all they want. Not my thing. I'm saying that because I get loads and loads and loads of requests for me to do that game. I think I did a Splattercat's Indie Shorts way back in the day on it. That was kind of a little bit fun. I mean, I had fun doing voices and like messing around and joking about the fact that people were starving and having miserable lives. Because if you can't make light of that, what can you do? But in any case, I find that the game just doesn't do it for me. Just doesn't do it for me. So beyond like 1 or 2 episodes, I find that I just be like, ugh. More paperwork, stamp. More paperwork, stamp. Shoot the guy that's running away, stamp. And that would be about the best that I could do. I'm going to bulldoze this field down here. And we're just going to replace it elsewhere. Elsewhere. We're going to turn this into a super badass graveyard. Like the graveyard that kids dare each other to go into on Halloween. And so it'll be like a... We can do one more. Let's do one. Let's get this a 15 by... Ooh, we can even go bigger. We can go even bigger. Oh my... Well then, let's go 17 by 15 on this bitch and just have it be done with. All of our dead homies are going up in here, and hopefully that'll make people happier. I'm assuming that's why we're seeing a happiness drop off, is because they're dead or just strewn around. My granddad used to joke about that. He'd be like, hey, when I die, don't worry about it. Just roll me out into the street somewhere and somebody will clean me up. Just do it. It'll be fine, I swear. We'll assign some workers there. And then the second batch is going to come down here. I'm sorry, not the second batch, but the second worker is going to be assigned down here to the firewood chopping. There we go. And so that'll be done and over with. Got a couple more people dying right now, which means we're going to have a pretty good excuse to show off our new graveyard. The gravestones do actually pop in if you don't know how this is used. So as people die, they'll bring them over here, and there'll be a little headstone for each person that dies. It's pretty cool, actually. I didn't expect it to be that detailed. I thought it was just going to be a graveyard, and then it would just have a bar that fills up over time. No, you get an individual headstone for each person that kind of keels over, which is pretty badass. It's a nice little adjustment that I feel kind of adds to the game. This field over here is going to need a replacement field, and so I'll probably put it right there. Or I may just let it run its course. I don't know. Where we stand right now, it may be a really good idea to get the second iron mine going too. Thinking that might be a really good plan. So having found more foresters who are now deforesting, they'll get rid of all these stones over here, and that'll give us some more building supplies on this upper end too. I really do sincerely wish. Maybe I'll bulldoze the schoolhouse and see if I can fit the iron mine in right there, because I've already got so many blacksmithing operations built up right here that let's do that. Let's get rid of the school, since it hasn't been of any use to us anyways for like the last grip of time. And the moment that that runs out of equitable materials, we'll swap that around. We'll kind of do like a little swirly do, and it'll be like shablunk. And Shazowie will have everything in place. You, on the other hand, not being very useful to me aside from the minuscule amount of food that you're supplying, so I may get rid of you as well. Let's go ahead and cut off work right there, and we'll say that that goes, and we're going to bulldoze that. It was a try. It was a desperate try to supply them with more food without actually having to fill in extra space. So we have food coming from right there. I may try again right here, possibly. I mean, we got food coming from right there. He's doing pretty good on a seasonal basis. He's doing alright on a seasonal basis. I can't imagine that 250 food from here is the only thing that's keeping us afloat in this entire suburb. How are our gatherers doing? Can I float another herbalist down here? I'm sorry, can I float another gatherer? That's a big thing that I might be able to do. Looking at the way the forests are, I mean, I can't see through the trees. The only thing I'm seeing right now is the forest for the trees, to quote the old saying, but it's a weird situation to be in. And I'm assuming I already have hunters down here. They're sort of helping us out. I really need to come up with a food solution for these guys down here. That's kind of my thought of the day, is coming up with a food solution. We already have a gatherer's hut there. We may consider just putting in another hunter's lodge down here, although it doesn't really help out that much. The extra 640 food is not... Let's assign a bunch of builders for now to make sure the building gets done. And then that's what I think I'll do. I mean, that's really the only open space that I have at the moment that I'm feeling okay about what we might do with it. I don't see any deer around, which makes me nervous. Some deer over there. I think that might be overdoing it, honestly. You can over de-deer an area. You can definitely de-deer a foresty area if you have too many harvesters in the region, just like anything else. I mean, this game is really kind of striking a balance. That's all you're ever doing, is you're kind of on the precipice, or you're on a seesaw at any given moment for what you need versus what you don't need. An interesting idea. We're not deforesting any of these areas. We've got a lot of logs coming in, and so I think what might be a smart idea is either to raise the log threshold. Where are all these logs coming to? All the logs are coming to right there. I do wish that I had some way to transit some of these over to here. Like I could say, hey, bring 400 of these over to here, and then make it work. Unfortunately, that's not an option that I have available, because I do think that that's where some of my problems are coming from as well. I think our second generation is now starting to bud out, and not bud out as in get out of my business, but bud out as in budding like a plant. And I think they're beginning to bud. and come into fruition, because we're starting to see a lot more laborers now. It's a weird generational thing. You have that brief moment where everybody dies off all of a sudden. You're really, really kind of panicky about it. In essence, I'm looking for an area... I may turn off cutting right here. I think that's going to be the best way for me to reach a threshold here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to cancel out all cutting down here. So these guys cannot pick up the slack for anywhere else. And my big hope now... We are out of firewood, so we may have a freeze-off for the first time. So we'll assign a worker right there. I don't know where the cold's going to come from, but we can definitely assume that it's coming from somewhere. Are you guys actually logging right here, right now? I don't think that they are. Which is another thing to think about. I'm going to try and force supply as best as I can to different locations, different localities. But we may have a bunch of people freeze to death this season. So, a tad behind the 8 ball there, but one thing I know about pool is that you can make a couple good shots in a row and you should be alright. Yeah. So in the interest of bouncing balls a little bit more efficiently, I've turned off cutting there. Realistically, I could just disable work right there, since we've got plenty of logs on that side. And then I could just lower that by that. And then we'll just keep an eye on this stockpile right here, which appears to be the breadth of all of the stocks that we have, weirdly enough. Deciding what I want to do with this right here, I may in fact get rid of this stockpile and have them redistribute it everywhere else. Might be a good plan. Let's do it. We're gonna make a gamble right now. So there's the big issue. Every little bit of our stock is right here on this building. Now the scary thing is if we do that, we won't have any logs. Because anything that's in transit in this game, so this is a big problem that you may not know, anything that's in transit does not count anymore, as in it doesn't exist any further in your life. And I need to really resituate all of these logs and take them to other spots. And so what we'll see now is that all of our laborers should put all of this stuff into other stockpiles, which should allow all of our other guys to kind of get things done and make more firewood. We should survive this perfectly fine. I didn't realize that I had this giant stopgap occurring where all of our supply was in one stockpile. That's a really scary thing. And it kind of lends credence to the fact that I may want to centralize things with a market. Picking a space for the market is a completely and totally different thing. How large is the market? I would like the market to go right here, because that should catch that within the boundaries of its little yellow force field. The market's fairly large. We're going to need a lot of space for it, unfortunately. I hate that hill so much. That hill right there, I'm going to call that hill Ned from now on, because that hill is a dick, and I totally hate him. I hate him so much. Now we're in early spring. Everything else is looking okay, so while we alleviate some of our other problems with a lot of the wood choppage, the better plan may just be to have them haul all of this wood off to a different location. Like maybe... relocate the stockpile to here? Kind of a strange spot to be in. But yeah, I am thinking as though the market is going to have to occur. What we may attempt... there's just simply no room for it. What we may attempt to do... I think we're in a weird situation where these guys were grabbing from here instead of grabbing from the one through the tunnel. And so we have a little bit of an organizational nightmare to be handled right now. Luckily, that's not too far of a walk for anybody, so it should recover pretty rapidly. And I apologize for eating up an entire episode just trying to solve one problem. But I sincerely and truly did not expect what happened to happen. Too many foresters and not really enough to go around. So in order to tailor this properly, I may put 2 right there. And we move them around slightly so that the stockpiles... I mean, I feel like I'm trying to do this really inefficiently at the moment. What is that right there? Oh yeah, let's go look at our graveyard. I want to see all the dead guys. Let's go see some dead guys. We're gonna do like some lean on me action right here. Stand By Me, or whatever the hell the name of that movie was, where the kids are going to see the dead body. Great movie, by the way. Pretty entertaining. And I'm still fishing for where we're gonna be able to fit. I'll have to relocate things. That's the big problem we're gonna run into. I have way too many builders assigned too. Luckily, I have lots and lots of foresters. So what I'm gonna need to do is we'll remove all of that. And even so, I'm not sure that's going to be enough space for the market, but we've got to make the jump. It's still not enough. God, that thing is enormous. Like, where can you even... That thing is ridiculously huge. And I know you're making jokes all over the place on... I know. I understand. You're making jokes right now. It's all good. So if we bulldoze all 3 of those... That space is screwing me. I hate it when my desire to design things properly or to make things look aesthetically pleasing to me curbs my future advancement. And I'm sure there's somebody out there letting out a hearty guffaw if I told you so. But whatever, man. Whatever. Whatever, man. I suppose... I could just remove the road. Let's do that. Let's remove the road. I'll remove this back road because this is all going to turn into the market street basically. So this road will go away and that'll allow me to shift forward slightly maybe? Actually, I don't even know if that'll work because the road counts as a free space but the houses don't. So shifting that by 1 is still not going to be anything to get us done here. That is horrific. So essentially the perfect spot was kind of right here where I wanted it to be in the first place. And that hill would be the other location that I would consider putting it. Bad, bad, bad. Well, let's go ahead and cancel that then. There's no reason not to, so we'll cancel out everything that was going to occur down here. Assign a new tailor, obviously. We'll figure this out a little bit better in the future. I may start doing some organizational stuff on the side off. What are you, and why are you not doing a job right now? You're a tailor? Well, you should all be allocated. What's going on here? There we go. I think I only have 2 tailors. I always run into that problem where I'm like, why don't you have a job? I always get confused about the things that are occurring on screen because, honestly, I'm feeble of mind right now. It's the only way I know how to put it. Let's build some stone houses because we've got a ton. No, let's upgrade some stone houses, actually. We've got a absolute ton of stone. And so I think we've got the time to do it right now, and it's early summer, so what better time to do it than now? And we'll just start converting a lot of these bad boys over. We don't have... Disappointingly enough, we don't have a boarding house, which is around here somewhere. I don't remember exactly where the boarding house is. Oh, there it is. So the boarding house is a temporary place for people to live, and I may put it... God, that thing's enormous, too. What's up with all these ginormous buildings? God. Like, maybe sit it right there for the future, just to say that we did. And that'll give us a little bit of extra space to work with. We've got a lot of people extra to be builders right now, so we should be able to get this job done reasonably quickly. Firewood has made a nice recovery. We're planting things over here. I'm going to send laborers to get rid of all the stone in this vicinity, and that's going to give them something to work on for quite some time. It'll also give us a nice stockpile of wood and other lovelies. I'm going to turn off his cut mode for now, because that's a bad plan. Looking at the way that he's deforesting things at the moment, his cut mode needs to be turned off, and we'll turn it back on in just a second. They can gather their wood from this location up until further notice. But for now, he just needs to plant stuff. That's what I need him to do, is just put lots and lots of plants around. First stone house is back up and running. Second stone house hasn't been touched yet. It's late summer. Going into autumn, this could get a little bit ugly. Died of old age. That seems to be a malady that really knocks out our troops. We need to work on our life serum to come up with some kind of sci-fi solution for allowing people to live forever, so I don't have to deal with this anymore. This construction should be over reasonably rapidly, because they are right next to the stockpile getting done. And let me play around now that I've gotten rid of the school with the possibility of putting a new mine right here. Why are you so curvy, mountains? We got the worst map ever. These mountains blow. They absolutely blow. They're trying to do the wind's job, and they just keep getting in the way. So we've got a boarding house now, which is kind of cool. That'll allow us a little bit of extra leeway as we put some of these buildings back together and make sure that there's always jobs to be done. We're low on iron. Yeah, that's to be expected. Let's get the new iron mine up and running now rather than later. I prefer to make it happen like right this second. And so we're just going to slot it in right there, because I don't really have any other option. That's where it has to go. We have a merchant showing up down here who has something for us. Cherry seeds and potato seeds. Not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for at all. Especially since we haven't even used all of the seeds that we have right now. I still have almond seeds that we haven't made any use of. So I'd rather just dismiss him, I think. Hey, I don't want to drag your window around. I just want to dismiss you. That guy's on his way back to his house to get some food. That's fine. And as we upgrade, so why am I upgrading these houses? Well, these houses use heat a little bit more efficiently. They use a lot less firewood. So if you're actively upgrading your houses as you play through, you should be okay as the game kind of matures and you go along your merry way, making up all of these objectives for yourself, since the game doesn't really assign you any. My big goal right now is that I do want to make sure that no matter what we do, everybody has enough firewood to go around, everybody has enough... So see, I may just kind of re-enable this, and they can just huff the wood around as far as they want to, maybe, off to this stockpile. I think we'll be closer than that one, I would assume. I mean, if they're going to take it to that central one, that's a little frustrating to me. So having built a town hall instead of building in the desperate hope that I would get nomads, which appears to have never happened. It's been about 5 years now, and there's been no nomads. And I'm just being briefly quiet to watch where he's carrying things around to. Let me try like a little stockpile right there and see if they'll drop logs off at it so that it's in a more advantageous position for this wood chopper. Because we have so many woodcutters down here that we really want to make sure that we have a constant amount of log going right here. Maybe like another little one hiding off on that side. It does get in the way of our forestry, but this forestry was always inefficient to begin with, so I'm not super concerned about it maintaining its throughput. Some people just giving up living in the boarding house, just like, whatever. And that little ping noise, that's fine. I know we're low on firewood right now. It's spring, we should recover. And I'm gonna mine this one into the ground. No, let's bulldoze it. Let's go ahead and we'll reclaim some of the structural pieces. It's got 11% left in it, but that'll allow me to reallocate to these other two mines, which I need more coal. Our coal supply right now is looking a little iffy. So what I may do is give myself some more miners too. Just increase that amount of coal that we've been gathering. Turn his cut back on. And since our iron supply is always sort of low, go ahead and grab all of this stuff out of here too, just to make sure that we're making use of the things that we have. This barn is almost completely and totally full of food stuffings, but our food supply has been dropping. I may just relocate this and allow this to take over. I don't know. For now, we need a market that's centralized, so let's go ahead and centralize our market. That's not gonna work either. Oh, we have a trader. I thought I told you guys with the seeds to piss off. Seriously, go away! Be gone with ye! I have no room for ye. You. It, we, they, when. Whatever. So we're stocked up on... Okay. I like how there's like a big mound here where the mine used to be. I suppose that's to block you off from building on the same spot over and over and over again. Kind of an interesting... You kind of leave that old rock quarry behind. I like that though. I like that. Kind of an interesting way for them to solve the problem of people being cheesy. He's still producing a lot of firewood. And I want to make sure somebody's dropping logs off over here. Okay, good. So logs are happening over here, which is going to minimize the amount of runaround we have to do. I could get rid of a woodcutter and put in a market, maybe. The big problem that I want with my market is I want the little ring around it. I really want that ring around the market to grab this stockpile right here. And unfortunately, the optimal position for it was like right here where I built the town market, or the town hall. And disassembling it right now would be a big, big waste of resources, I think. I'm gonna increase the threshold on logs for, I'm sorry, on firewood for a bit, because you gotta adjust your thresholds every now and again. That's another big thing that they'll catch you on, is if your thresholds are just too low, it goes in such bursts that like your logs just vanish on you. They're like magical disappearing logs. Magicians, if you will. We got 15 laborers, so I should probably focus on expanding things a bit further. And to that I'll say, let's supply a bit more food to this lower area down here. And so I don't want this necessarily to be residential. Let's get rid of some of the residential buildings down here, and once those are gone, what we'll do with them is I'm going to put in another orchard right here, because this area is really kind of suffering from a food shortage. So I need to make sure that they don't starve out. Now, as long as I don't build anything else in this area, we should be absolutely 100% okay. As long as there's nobody building here. Gathering herbs. How are you doing? Still doing amazing down there for being not very efficient in its placement. That place is still supplying a huge amount of food. Turn off his cut for now, because this one can pick up the slack. That gatherer's hut's sort of rudimentary anyways. It's not really... It's doing okay by us, but it's definitely not as good as some of the other ones. I don't build efficient things. You guys should probably know that right about. This would be a good spot for an orchard too, now that I'm on the subject. So let's do that. Let's build a little orchard over here. Yeah, that'll work out. And we'll call that one a pecan orchard in the next season. We'll assign some workers to it. Then over here we're going to behave similarly. I assume there's people living in the boarding house now. Yeah, the boarding house can hold a lot of people, just in case you were wondering. A lot of people can go up in there. And then we'll get an orchard started right here for our future usage. I'm going to start from that side and we'll go out like so. It's a 14 by 11. Not going to supply us with a huge amount of food, but it'll be pretty sweet once it's ready and going. I mean, it's across the street. It's going to help out with the kind of drab scenery that this graveyard's given off anyways. I mean, people don't want to go to this side of town to begin with. Call that one Chestnut one more time, and we've got a couple more. I think we needed 3 more in order for that to function properly. Make sure that all of our fields are at optimal efficiency. And then I think I'm glad with where we are right now in this episode. I think I'm going to break it off. I'm going to call this one a day. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here in the Nerd Castle for another episode of Banished by Shining Rock Studio. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Take care out there, everybody, and I will see you when next we load up this fantastic little game.